She was still deeply connected to her first love. So when the time came, I simply turned around and left. It all came to a head on Thanksgiving Day. I had spent the entire morning in the kitchen, carefully preparing a feast for the two of us. The air was rich with the scent of roasted turkey and spices, and I had just set a platter of steaming crabs on the table when Khloe finally came home. She didn't so much as glance at the meal I had laid out. Her eyes were fixed on the bedroom as she immediately began pulling a suitcase from the closet. "I can't spend the holiday with you this year," she announced, her voice devoid of any warmth. I didn't argue or ask for an explanation. I just sat down at the table and quietly began to eat, the sound of a crab shell cracking under my fingers the only reply. That night, as if on schedule, her first love, Evan, made a new post on his Instagram. It was a photograph of him with his arm wrapped securely around Khloe's shoulders. Both of them were beaming, their smiles wide and genuine, with a brilliant full moon hanging like a lantern in the window behind them. The caption was simple: "Toasting the moon with my favorite person." This time, I didn't reach for my phone to make a frantic, hysterical call. I just calmly tapped the heart icon, liking the post before setting my phone down. Moments later, my phone rang. It was Khloe, and for the first time in a long time, I could hear a distinct note of panic in her voice. "Don't overthink it, Leo. I promise I'll spend the next holiday with you." I let the silence stretch for a few seconds before a soft, empty laugh escaped my lips. I didn't say a word. Next time? Oh, Khloe. I knew with absolute certainty there wasn't going to be a next time. It was already the Monday after the long holiday weekend when Khloe finally returned home. In the past, I would have been waiting for her in the small garden by our front door, eager to welcome her back, but not this time. A text message from her buzzed on the table. "Where are you?" I was in the middle of my lunch and replied with a casual, at-home eating. A few minutes later, the front door opened and she walked in, dragging her suitcase noisily behind her. "I'm starving," she declared, kicking off her shoes and dropping her bags. "Go make me a bowl of noodles with a sunny-side-up egg." Any other time, I would have been in the kitchen before she finished her sentence, eager to please. But now I simply continued eating and spoke calmly. "I already ate. You should just order some DoorDash." Khloe shot me a look of sharp annoyance, but she managed to restrain her temper. "I know you're still mad about Thanksgiving, but can you not start with me right now? I'm seriously hungry." I turned to face her and offered a small, placid smile. "I'm not mad." She didn't believe me for a second. "Evan was all alone in the city, and it was Thanksgiving," she explained, as if I needed to hear it. "I was just keeping him company, being a good host." "Yeah, I know," I replied, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. Khloe stared into my eyes, searching for a reaction, for the familiar hurt she was so used to seeing. When she found none, she lowered her gaze, unable to hide her growing irritation. "What's the point of this? I'm exhausted from my trip and I don't want to fight. Can you just be a little more mature?" I looked back at her, my patience feeling endless. "I'm not fighting with you. Are you done? I'm going to do the dishes." Khloe watched me in silence for a moment, then reached into her pocket. She pulled out a men's watch and held it out to me, looking down as if presenting an offering. "A gift," she said coolly. The watch was completely unwrapped, a stark contrast to the beautifully wrapped box Evan had proudly displayed in his birthday post. I didn't show a flicker of excitement. "Thanks," I said politely, and then said nothing more. A flash of displeasure crossed Khloe's face. "That's it?" she asked, her annoyance obvious. "That's it," I replied evenly. Her face turned grim, and she held her hand out to me expectantly. "Where's mine?" It was only then that I feigned remembrance. Oh, sorry, I forgot, I said, my tone apologetic. I'll just Venmo you and you can buy yourself something. I picked up my phone, opened the app, and sent her $200. Khloe's eyes widened in disbelief, as if she couldn't comprehend that I, of all people, had forgotten. I was always the one who cherished our little traditions. Exchanging gifts on holidays and birthdays was our ritual, a practice I had kept alive for years. I always managed to find new and creative gifts for her, even during the times she had completely forgotten to get me anything. The air in the room grew thick with an awkward tension. I stood up, went to the walk-in closet, changed my clothes, and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" Khloe called out, a sense of urgency in her voice. "Going to hang out with Sam," I said calmly. Then, I closed the door behind me, ignoring the sound of her calling my name from inside. After I started dating Khloe, I had systematically canceled all plans with my friends, all because she once mentioned she didn't like me running around. It had gotten to the point where Sam and my other buddies stopped inviting me out altogether, assuming I was a lost cause, tethered to a short leash at home. Now, for the first time in years, I could actually hang out with Sam without a sense of guilt. As we were leaving the bar, Sam clapped me on the shoulder. "I seriously thought you ditched your bros for your girl for good, man. Don't ever do that again. No girl is more important than your friends." I nodded, feeling the truth of his words deep in my bones. "From now on, if you guys are getting together and I'm free, I'm there. Count on it." Getting with Khloe had shrunk my entire world until it revolved solely around her. My work, my life, my social circle, it was all about her. Looking back on it now, it was an incredibly foolish choice to have made. I glanced at my phone and saw a notification. Khloe had declined the Venmo payment. It was 3 a.m. by the time I finally stumbled home. I flipped on the lights and saw Khloe sitting on the couch, waiting. For a second, a wave of dizziness washed over me, and I wondered if I was just seeing things. When she saw the state I was in, thoroughly drunk, she didn't get up to help me. Instead, she just gave me a look of pure, undiluted disappointment. "Leo, can you get a grip?" she said with disgust. "If you're jealous, just say it. A grown man getting wasted like this in the middle of the night? What's wrong with you?" My head was spinning violently. I steadied myself against the wall and made my way over to the couch. As I got closer, Khloe caught the strong scent of alcohol on me and wrinkled her nose. "Didn't I tell you I don't like those friends of yours? And you went running around with them again? This isn't what you think it is with Evan and me. We're just friends right now. You really don't need to get this drunk over him." I held my throbbing head in my hands and shot back, my words slurring with annoyance. "You've got it all wrong. I was just happy to be out with my friends and had a few too many." Seeing my defiance, her voice turned sharp. "Enough, I'm giving you an out here. What more do you want? Don't push me. My patience has its limits. I'm not a saint who can put up with your crap forever." My head was pounding, and her shrill voice was only making it worse. I rubbed my temples. "Are you done? If you're done, I'm going to bed." Seeing my dismissal, Khloe took a deep breath, reining in her temper as she stood up to help me. But with the last ounce of sobriety I had left, I dodged her outstretched hand. I stumbled into the guest room, locked the door behind me, and completely ignored the sound of Khloe knocking and calling my name. That night I fell into a deep, dreamless sleep, and it was the most peaceful I had felt in a very long time. When I woke up the next morning, Khloe was sitting on the living room couch, her arms crossed, her face terrifyingly dark. I knew she was furious, but I didn't try to smooth things over. I just got ready for my day and left without a word. I went straight to the dance company where I worked and handed in my resignation. I had originally taken the job here because it was close to home, which made it easier to take care of Khloe's needs. But there was no need for that anymore. The director of the company tried several times to get me to stay, but I firmly refused. Just last week, I had received a response to the applications I had sent to companies overseas. I had been accepted into a prestigious troupe. Joining that company had been my dream since I was a teenager, a dream I had willingly given up for Khloe back then. Luckily, it wasn't too late to chase it now. After quitting, I spent the day handing off my remaining work, and then I called Sam to tell him the good news. Sam was thrilled for me, but after a moment of celebratory shouting, he fell silent and asked, "So, what about Khloe? Does she know you're moving abroad?" I laughed softly into the phone. "No, and she doesn't need to know. I'm going alone this time." Once everything was settled at the company, I started the process of getting my documents ready for the move. My parents are divorced, and besides a few buddies I grew up with, Khloe was all I really had here. I used to think that wherever Khloe was, that was my home. But now I realized I didn't have a home anymore. I felt like a piece of driftwood, just floating wherever the current decided to take me. When I got home later that evening, Khloe was getting ready to go out. She was wearing an elegant black dress and an expensive diamond necklace that made her look formidable and powerful. I saw the beautifully decorated birthday cake in her hand and knew immediately today was Evan's birthday. She was on her way to celebrate with him. She was on the phone, her voice animated with excitement. Okay, stop guessing. It wouldn't be a surprise if I told you what the gift was. Just wait for me to get there." I don't know what the person on the other end of the line said, but it made Khloe giggle, revealing the dimples I rarely saw anymore. It was a simple, carefree smile, something that had become so rare for me to witness. She kept smiling until she turned and saw me standing there. Then, like a switch being flipped, the smile vanished from her lips. Khloe would give Evan anything he wanted, yet she couldn't even spare me a single smile. Her expression instantly darkened. She didn't say another word to me, just looked away with an air of disgust. She quickly changed into her heels, and the last thing I heard was the sharp, definitive sound of the front door slamming shut. I knew what this meant. Khloe was going to give me the silent treatment again. We had engaged in this Cold War many times before, and every single time, the cause was Evan. Whenever it happened, I would be a complete mess, trying everything I could think of to win back her affection. Even if she ignored all my texts and calls, I'd practically beg for her attention. But this time, I just went online, looked up a few foreign recipes, and started practicing in the kitchen. I figured I should start getting used to cooking for one. Lying in bed later that night, I saw Evan's new social media post. "You got me a birthday gift again this year. Thanks for always being by my side." In the comments, Khloe's best friend had written, "So touching. Seeing Evan happy makes me happy." I scrolled through the likes. All of Khloe's friends, both men and women, had liked Evan's post. Khloe's friends never liked me. They saw me as the obstacle, the one who got in the way of her and Evan's happiness. They were convinced that without me, Khloe would be so much happier. Seeing Khloe's own comment on the post, I couldn't help but think her friends were right. Khloe had written, "Happy birthday to the most important person in my life." I stared blankly at their dramatic public exchange. Another one of Khloe's friends commented, "Delete this before Leo sees it. You know how he is. He'll probably throw a huge fit." I used to gently remind Khloe to keep a respectful distance from Evan. After all, he was an ex-boyfriend, and it was best to avoid any misunderstandings. But her friends would call me petty and controlling, complaining that I wouldn't even let her have basic friendships. And Khloe would just go along with them, telling me that as a man, I needed to be more generous and open-minded. I didn't do what her friend expected. I didn't throw a fit. I just quietly closed the app, started scrolling through TikTok videos, and eventually fell asleep. I was already fast asleep when Khloe came home. She shook me awake, her voice sharp with annoyance. "Leo," she yelled, Your girlfriend is out late and you don't even care enough to check on her? My friend's boyfriend calls her constantly. But you? Not a single call. What is wrong with you?" I looked at her, groggy and confused, with no idea why she was so angry. I used to do that, and she would snap at me. "I'm in a relationship with you, not in jail. Please give me some space. I can't breathe." Now that I was finally giving her the space she supposedly craved, she was mad that I wasn't checking up on her. I had no idea what she wanted from me anymore. But I didn't bring up the past. I just said calmly, "You were out with friends. It would have been weird for me to keep calling. You and Evan are friends. I trust you guys." A look of disbelief flashed in Khloe's eyes. She was probably shocked that I could mention Evan's name so calmly. Then, a look of cautious understanding crossed her face. "That social media post was just for old time's sake," she explained quickly. "It didn't mean anything else. Don't overthink it." I shook my head, about to speak, but she cut me off. "What is it? Are you saying I shouldn't have gone to Evan's birthday party? We've known each other for 10 years. We dated for a little while, but now we're just really good friends. It's my good friend's birthday. Of course I had to be there." I looked at her with a placid understanding. "I know, it's late. You should go get some rest." Khloe fell silent. She stared at me, her eyes searching my face, as if trying to confirm that I really wasn't angry. After a long moment, she couldn't find the answer she was looking for. She reached out to wrap her arms around my waist, a gesture of reconciliation, but I silently sidestepped her, moving just out of her reach. "The master bedroom or the guest room?" I asked coolly. Surprise flickered in her eyes. I had actually rejected her touch, something I used to beg for. Humiliated and angry, Khloe slammed the guest room door shut and went into the master bedroom alone. As soon as she was gone, I was asleep. Ever since I had cleared my head of all the drama and anxiety, even falling asleep had become so much easier. The next morning, the director of the dance company called me. She had somehow found out that I was moving abroad and said she wanted to throw me a going-away party. I quickly declined, so she let it go. Then she rephrased, saying she was getting a group together from the company for one last get-together. She put it in a way that I couldn't refuse. What I didn't expect was that Khloe would be there that evening. But it made sense, I supposed. She was the director's niece, and sitting right next to Khloe was Evan. I couldn't believe she would bring him to a work gathering like this. When Khloe saw me, she glanced my way, signaling with her eyes for me to come sit with her, but I pretended not to notice. They looked like such a perfect couple sitting there together. I wasn't about to go over and interrupt their evening. When Evan saw me, he shot me a smug, challenging smile. Then, just as quickly, he wiped it off his face and put on an apologetic expression. "Hey man, sorry for crashing your work party. I was just so bored that Khloe decided to bring me along." Khloe opened her mouth a few times, wanting to explain, but the words never came out. I politely raised my glass from across the room. "It's fine, I don't mind." I took a sip of my drink. During dinner, my phone kept buzzing in my pocket. I pulled it out to check. It was a series of texts from Khloe. "I only brought him because it was convenient. Don't overthink it. If it bothers you, I won't bring him next time." I scrolled down to the last message. "Let's go home together after dinner." I cleared my throat and typed back a simple reply. "No thanks. You should take Evan home. I drove." Then I put my phone away and went back to my meal, ignoring any more messages that came through from her. The dinner was full of good conversation, with everyone reminiscing about the old days. The director had a little too much to drink, her face flushed with wine. She stood up at the table, raised her glass to me, and said loudly, "I remember when you were the best dancer in the country, Leo. Your dream was always to go abroad and join the best company, but then for some reason you suddenly decided to stay here." She paused, taking a breath. But now, thank God, you're finally going. You're finally going to achieve your dream. And I'm so happy for you. Here, let me toast to you. I wish you all the best and a bright future ahead. I smiled, a wave of nostalgia washing over me, and raised my glass, downing the wine in one go. At that moment, Khloe's face was frozen in shock, as if she'd just heard something utterly unbelievable. Auntie, what did you just say? What do you mean, going abroad? Khloe's words were sharp and clear, cutting through the chatter. The director answered patiently. You didn't know? Leo's moving abroad. If all goes well, this will be our last dinner with him. It'll be hard to see him again after this. The director didn't know about my relationship with Khloe, so she wasn't surprised that Khloe was out of the loop. Hearing this confirmation, Khloe's eyes turned red. She jumped up from her seat, grabbed my arm, and dragged me outside into the cool night air. I stood against the brick wall of the restaurant, silently facing her. She was the first to speak, her voice trembling, her eyes filled with a mixture of disbelief and fear. Moving abroad? What are you talking about? Why didn't you discuss this with me? Why didn't you tell me? I finally responded, my voice distant and polite. Oh, that. When I got the news you were at Disneyland with Evan, I didn't want to bother you. My calm tone instantly created a vast chasm between us. Hearing this, Khloe looked embarrassed, but she grabbed my hand tighter. No matter what, I'm your girlfriend. You should share these things with me. I nodded, my expression one of mock surprise. I used to tell Khloe every single detail of my life, and she would always say with impatience, I'm not interested in your life. Stop sending me this useless stuff and clogging up my phone. After a long silence, she asked, How long will you be gone? I thought about it for a moment and decided to lie. Probably 2 or 3 years. I had never planned on her finding out about my departure anyway. Tonight was just an unfortunate accident. That long? Khloe exclaimed, stunned. I looked down, confirming it with a nod. The atmosphere grew tense. Suddenly, Khloe sighed, a sound of defeat. She looked up at me and said, Let's go home together later. She said it with a hopeful glimmer in her eyes, desperately waiting for my answer. Just as I was about to say no, Evan stumbled out of the private room. He looked at Khloe with hazy, unfocused eyes, so drunk he had to lean against her for support. Khloe shot a nervous glance at me, trying to push Evan away, but he was like a dead weight against her. Evan's drunk, she explained frantically. We never touch each other like this. I swear. It wouldn't have been a big deal, but her panicked explanation just made the situation seem more suspicious. I nodded understandingly. Yeah, I know. Evan slurred into her ear. Khloe, my head's spinning. Can you take me home? His boozy breath washed over her neck. Khloe didn't flinch, just showed a hint of weary resignation. She had always told me she hated the smell of alcohol, but I guess it didn't matter if it was Evan. She didn't answer him, looking at me instead. Wait for me, okay? I'll call him an Uber and then we can go home together. How does that sound? Before I could reply, Evan whined again in her arms, rubbing his head against her affectionately in a movement that looked incredibly practiced and familiar. Seeing that, I said calmly, Don't worry about it. He seems to need you more. I can get home by myself. Khloe looked like she wanted to say something else, but I stood up, said my goodbyes to the others inside, and walked out of the restaurant. Khloe tried to follow me, but Evan clung to her, refusing to let go. I called an Uber to take me home. I had had a few drinks tonight, and my head was starting to feel fuzzy. Sitting in the back seat, I watched the city lights blur past the window. A few stray tears escaped my eyes, rolling silently down my cheeks. It was almost funny. I couldn't count the number of times Khloe had ditched me for Evan. After a while, I guess I had just gotten used to it. I saw a couple walking hand in hand down the street, and it suddenly reminded me of how Khloe and I used to be like that. As the car drove on, The image of the couple grew fainter, and my memories of Khloe and me started to blur as well. After I got home, a text from Khloe came in. A rare check-in. "I just got Evan home. He keeps throwing up, so I probably can't make it back tonight." I stared at the screen, lost in thought. As far as I could remember, this was the first time Khloe had ever explained her whereabouts to me. Like this. In the past, if I even asked who was at a party she was going to, she would accuse me of starting trouble. Do I have to report every little thing I do to you? Doesn't a relationship like that just exhaust you? It had taken me a long time to calm her down after that, and she had made it very clear that I was not to interfere in her life. I replied to Khloe with a simple, "Okay." She quickly texted back, trying to explain again. "It's really just because he keeps throwing up and it's so late now. That's the only reason I'm staying over. Please don't overthink it." I replied with another detached, "Okay." After that, she didn't message me again. That night, I was the one in the bathroom throwing up repeatedly. It wasn't just Evan who had gotten drunk at the party. I was used to drinking beer, but I'd had just a little hard liquor tonight, and it had hit me hard. I was sick until the early hours of the morning before I finally crawled back into bed. I tossed and turned all night, and by morning I had dark circles under my eyes. It was around noon when Khloe came home. I was eating a bowl of soup I had just ordered. In the past, if I ordered takeout, Khloe would have scolded me for eating junk food. But today she actually came over to the table. "Does it taste good?" I looked at her, surprised by the question, and nodded. She sat down across from me and looked me directly in the eye. "You have no idea how much work it is to take care of a drunk person. The second he sobered up, I rushed straight home." Her voice was laced with guilt, but I didn't call her out on it. "Oh, that must have been tough for you," I said calmly. A flicker of unease crossed Khloe's face. She hadn't expected me to be so compliant. The smile on her lips was stiff. "My friend Jenna and her boyfriend are having their engagement party tomorrow. She invited me. You should come with me." I looked up, surprised. In the past, Khloe would never have taken me to an event like this. Her friends didn't like me, so she always took Evan instead. Before, I would have jumped at the chance and immediately started picking out a suit. But now, I just kept eating my soup, my expression unreadable. "I'd better not. I don't want to make things awkward for your friends." Hearing this, Khloe's smile faltered. The hand she had extended toward me froze in mid-air. She awkwardly pulled it back. "You're my boyfriend," she promised. "She won't be rude to you." I looked up at her. She actually looked serious when she said it. I remember a time when her friends were putting me down, saying I couldn't compare to Evan in any way. I shot Khloe a desperate look, begging for her help. She just ignored me. When I confronted her about it later, she said, "Well, they weren't wrong. You're my boyfriend and you can't even get my friends to like you? That's pretty pathetic." But she knew perfectly well that how her friends treated me depended entirely on how she treated me. I gathered up my empty takeout container. "I'm busy tomorrow," I said. "Why don't you ask someone else?" Khloe stared at me in disbelief. She never thought I would turn her down so bluntly or suggest she take someone else. I used to beg for opportunities like this. But I wasn't lying. I really was busy tomorrow. I still had a lot of paperwork to finish for my move. The hope in her eyes faded, and her smile disappeared completely. "What are you doing tomorrow?" she asked nervously. "Maybe I can go with you." "Oh, I have to go take care of my immigration paperwork," I explained calmly. "I really can't get away. It's your friend's engagement. You should be there for her. I'll be fine on my own." Hearing this, she looked at me and asked tentatively, "If you're not going, should I take Evan?" In the past, just hearing Evan's name would have set me off. But now I just smiled. Sure. She searched my face for any sign of jealousy, but couldn't find one. Leo, why aren't you jealous at all? She couldn't help but ask. I looked at her, thinking how strange she was. Didn't she used to hate it when I got jealous? But I just said, what's there to be jealous about? He's your good friend, and he gets along with your other friends. It makes sense for you to take him, right? She opened her mouth to say something several times, but never did. Finally, she said one thing. Then let me drive you to your appointment tomorrow morning. I thought about it for a second and didn't refuse. My head still felt fuzzy from the night before, and I didn't want to drive. Having someone drive me didn't sound so bad. When Khloe saw that I agreed, she reached for my hand, but I pulled away. She looked at me with a mix of confusion and annoyance. I didn't sleep well last night either, I explained. I'm going to take a nap. You should get some rest too. Without waiting for her reaction, I opened the bedroom door and went inside. The next morning, Khloe was up early and had breakfast ready. After we ate, she grabbed her car keys to drive me. Sitting in her passenger seat felt strange. It had been so long since I'd been in Khloe's car. I remember one time it was raining heavily and I didn't have an umbrella. I asked if she could pick me up, and she said with a frown, "You're an independent adult. Don't always rely on a woman. What's wrong with getting a little wet?" Later that day, I saw from Evan's social media that she had driven across town to pick him up. After that, I bought my own car, so there was never another reason to ride in hers. As Khloe drove, she put on music I liked, trying to make small talk so I wouldn't be bored. I just smiled and went along with it. We hadn't been driving for long when Evan's call came through on the car's Bluetooth system. Khloe's expression turned frantic. She kept glancing at me nervously. "Go ahead, answer it," I said calmly. Evan's cheerful voice filled the car. "Khloe, I'm all ready. You can come pick me up now." "You should just call a cab," Khloe said quickly. I was surprised to hear that. Khloe actually turning Evan down? I never thought I'd see the day. Evan hadn't expected her to refuse either, but he didn't give up. "Come on, Khloe. You know how it is. It's impossible to get a cab way out here. Besides, you've always picked me up before," Evan pressed on. "If you don't come get me, I'll have to walk." A flicker of hesitation crossed Khloe's face. In the past, I would have been kicked out of the car by now. Every time Evan called, she'd say to me, "It's easy to get a cab downtown where we are. It's harder out where Evan lives. I have to go get him. You can just grab a taxi." I saw her hesitation and made the decision easy for her. "Go pick him up. You can just drop me off at the next corner." "But what about you?" she said flustered. "No, forget it. I'll take you first." I smiled, completely at ease. "I can get a cab. It's fine. Go on. You can just pull over here." I pointed to the side of the road ahead. Khloe hesitated for a moment, but she pulled over. As I got out of the car, she said, "I'll be home early tonight." I nodded. She looked at me worriedly. "Are you sure you can get a cab here? If not, I won't go get him." I looked up at her and urged her on. "It's fine, you should go. You don't want to be late, that would be rude." Khloe's car sped off, leaving a trail of exhaust behind. I went and took care of my paperwork. Looking at the date on my phone, I counted on my fingers. 5 more days, and I'd be leaving the country for good. Back home, I was scrolling through TikTok when I saw a video from the engagement party. Jenna and her boyfriend were sharing a deep kiss, while the people around them started teasing Khloe and Evan. Jenna laughed and said to Khloe, "Girl, you need to lock it down too. A great guy is right here beside you. You better not let him get away." As she said it, she glanced over at Evan, who blushed, looking embarrassed. But in the video, Khloe just looked distracted and uneasy. Just then, a message from Khloe popped up on my phone. "Leo, did you see that video? They were just messing around. It was a joke. Don't be mad." I replied, "I saw it. It's just a joke. I'm not mad." After that, Khloe didn't reply, nor did she come home early. I didn't wait up for her. I just ate dinner and went to bed. It was almost noon the next day when Khloe came back. I didn't ask where she'd been, just said from my spot on the couch, "I didn't cook. If you're hungry, order something." Khloe was changing her shoes in the entryway as she explained, "Everyone was having so much fun yesterday, they wouldn't let me leave, so I just slept at the hotel." Khloe used to stay out all night often, but she had never once offered an explanation to me. I just grunted in acknowledgement and went back to watching TV. After changing her shoes, Khloe sat down on the couch, pinching the bridge of her nose. "When are you planning on leaving?" "Next Monday," I said. "Already bought the ticket." After I said that, the air in the room seemed to freeze. Khloe was the one to break the silence. "Leo," she said, her voice rising with emotion. "I think we need to have a serious talk. I can't stand us being like this anymore." I looked at her, confused. "What's wrong? Is there a problem?" Khloe was always telling me to be more mature. Now that I finally was, she wasn't happy. She frowned. "Is this because of Evan?" I didn't say anything. She bit her lip and continued, "If my relationship with Evan bothers you, I can cut him off. For you. But please, can you just stop being so indifferent? Please?" Her eyes were pleading, filled with a desperate hope, as if she'd just made the biggest decision of her life. I spoke slowly. "You're overthinking it. I really don't mind anymore. Who you're friends with is your business. I have no right to interfere." But I never imagined she would offer to cut ties with him so easily. In the past, no matter how much we fought, even when I threatened to break up with her, she never once considered cutting off contact with Evan. She stared at me, stunned. "I'm making a huge concession here. If you don't believe me, I'll call Evan right now." With that, Khloe pulled out her phone, dialed Evan's number, and stood in front of me with the phone on speaker. Evan's voice came through, full of delight. "Khloe, miss me already?" His casual, intimate words made Khloe's expression flash with embarrassment and panic. She cut him off quickly. "Okay, Evan, stop joking around." Evan clearly wasn't expecting that response. This must have been how they usually talked in private. He paused, and Khloe continued, "Evan, I think we should talk less from now on. I have a boyfriend, after all." Evan sounded like he'd heard something unbelievable. "Khloe, what? What did you say? Say that again?" Khloe took a deep breath. "I said we should talk less from now on. Got it?" Her voice was sharp now. A flicker of understanding crossed Evan's face. "I get it. It's that controlling boyfriend of yours, isn't it? He's jealous. Why do you even listen to him? The guy's so petty. He probably doesn't have any friends. So he's jealous of us." With every word Evan said, Khloe's face grew darker. I couldn't even imagine how much trash they had talked about me behind my back. Khloe's voice was full of irritation. "That's enough. You need to know your place. Leo is my boyfriend, and you have no right to say anything about him. Don't contact me again. Let's just leave it at that." With that, Khloe hung up, ignoring Evan's protests. The phone kept ringing, but Khloe didn't answer it. She just looked at me and said meekly, "See, I cut him off. From now on, we'll just live our own lives. I'll be good and wait for you to come home. I promise I'll be good." She held up 3 fingers as she said it, as if swearing an oath. I was stunned. I had planned to break up with her on the day I left, but now it looked like I had to do it sooner. I opened my mouth to speak. "But I don't think I need you to wait. We should break." Before I could finish the sentence, Khloe covered my mouth with her hand. I looked at her. Her eyes were red, welling up with tears. I heard a soft, dripping sound on the hardwood floor. It was Khloe's tears. In the past, I would have been heartbroken, frantically wiping her tears away. But this time I did nothing. I just watched. So someone like Khloe could cry over me? She looked into my eyes, her voice choked with sobs. "Leo, let me go abroad with you." I knew what a huge decision this was for her. Her family, her friends, they were all here. Her career was taking off here too. If she came with me, she would have to give all of that up. I turned my face away. I thought I wouldn't feel anything anymore, but in this moment my heart still ached. "It's just that, I'm sorry, Khloe," I managed to say, my voice strained. "Please don't do this." Khloe threw her arms around me, her tears soaking through the fabric of my shirt. "Leo, I'm willing to give up everything I have here for you. I want you. Please take me with you." I am a soft-hearted person, but this time I found the strength to push her away. "Khloe, let's break up. We're from two different worlds. I'm tired now. I want to go back to my own world." The tears streamed down Khloe's face. Her voice was hoarse. "No, I don't agree. As long as I don't agree, we're not broken up." I let out a self-deprecating laugh. "You should be happy. In this relationship, you never wanted to share your life with me. You never wanted me to be involved. Well, guess what? After today, no one will be—" Khloe grabbed my shoulders, pleading. "I said I would. From now on, I'll spend every holiday with you." I brushed her hands away, laughing bitterly. "Too bad we don't have a from now on." Khloe was crying uncontrollably, clinging to me, refusing to break up, insisting she would go abroad with me. I couldn't fight her off, so I finally gave in, letting her hold me. She hugged me tightly, filled with the joy of having me back, and I bitterly savored this one last hollow embrace. One morning, a few days later, I quietly packed my bags while it was still dark. I opened the bedroom door one last time and looked at Khloe. She was still fast asleep, oblivious. I whispered, "Goodbye," then took one last, long look at our home. This would probably be the last time I ever saw it. I was planning to settle down abroad for good. I took a taxi to the airport by myself and sat in the waiting area, staring at the departures board. My phone started blowing up with messages from Khloe. "Where are you? Where did you go? Why aren't you answering me?" The last one read, "I'm coming to the airport. Where are you? I need to see you." My eyes started to well up as I read the messages. I didn't reply. I put my phone away. I didn't have the courage to see Khloe one last time. After all, she was the person I had once loved so deeply. The notifications kept pinging, one after another, but I ignored them. I sighed and walked toward the boarding gate. A voice called out my name from behind. "Leo, what am I going to do without you?" Khloe's voice was hysterical, as if she had used every last bit of her strength to shout. My back stiffened, but I didn't turn around. I kept walking, disappearing into the boarding tunnel. Then I pulled out my phone and looked at the last message Khloe had written. "Leo, you lied to me." I gave a bitter smile and finally replied. "You've lied to me so many times. I guess it was my turn." In the past, Khloe had lied to me countless times, saying she was just out with friends, that Evan wasn't there. And every single time I found out the truth, I just remember how much my heart hurt, how deeply I felt the sting of deception. I wonder if Khloe feels the same way now. I landed in England. Someone from the dance company was there to pick me up. They set me up in a small apartment. It wasn't big, but it had everything I needed. I never replied to any more of Khloe's messages. I blocked her number. After all, she wouldn't be a part of my future. There was no point in keeping her around. A year passed. I gradually got used to life in England and made a lot of new friends. My childhood dream had finally come true. But my adult dream hadn't. I had always dreamed of marrying Khloe, of building a family with her. But that dream was destined to die. One day at work, a call came in from an unknown number from my home country. I knew it was her, but I answered it anyway. On the other end of the line, she was crying so hard she could barely breathe. "It wasn't 2 or 3 years, was it?" she asked, her voice trembling. "You lied to me again?" I paused for a moment, then said calmly, "That's right. I'm not coming back, Khloe. Please don't call me again." I hung up the phone, severing the last connection between us for good. I looked out at the towering skyscrapers outside my office window. From now on, Khloe and I were two parallel lines, never destined to cross.